If you wanted to disappear, could you? Not as easy as you might think. And that's something Louise Bannon explores in Running Away to Boston, along with a lot of really terrifying things that the internet knows about you. So thank you for being here, Anne, and thank everybody who is watching for being here at Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. So again, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. This is a fun thing to do, and it's a fun book to talk about. So I'm enjoying
It's
it.
a fun book to read. Oh my gosh, it opens with this just grab your heart and rip it out of your chest kind of opening, and then just goes from there. Yeah, so
Yeah. Well,
absolutely could not put it down once I opened it
yeah,
and
that
just
seems to be the general consensus. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
it is great. So running away to Boston is a cautionary tale wrapped in a great suspense novel. What motivated you to write about cybercrime?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Some of it could be just the geeks I've been hanging around with as part of this group called the Repair Cafe. We basically get together and repair things to keep them out of landfills. And a lot of these guys that are there and that I've become very good friends with are, you know, engineers. And, since we're in Pasadena, we live close to Jet Propulsion Labs. Several of the guys work there. So, we're not talking some lightweights. And
Right.
that, to be honest, I'm just one of those people who reads a lot. There was a time when Google thought I was a 35-year-old male because I spent so much time on lifehacker.com. And so I just kind of, just got into it. And so there was that. Um, so yeah, that's just basically what it's been. And it seemed to be the appropriate, it actually started with the mother's story.
Mhm.
In fact, I thought she was going to be my protagonist for a very long time. And that just didn't happen. And I finally realized, wait a minute, no, this is Jenny's story. And this is the context in which what I wanted to happen would happen. So
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a great little pulls you in with the mother right away, and then you transfer to the daughter, and it's like, you know,
yeah.
it's so exciting. Um,
Oh, she's such a
so
delightful mess too.
is the Wheeling Corp, which is kind of the big bad corporate entity in the book, is the Wheeling Corp based on a single company, or is it just a conglomeration of different companies that have way too much information about us? You don't have to
Yes,
say what they are because I don't want you to disappear.
no, I don't want to disappear either. And no, it's more of a conglomeration of characters. I mean, of companies, but it's more the corporate head, which I don't want to talk about because that is kind of a spoiler. But he may, in fact, bear a certain resemblance to a couple of guys out there now that we are didn't
Yeah.
intend it that way initially, but he kind of
There's that goes back to Aristotle. Does art imitate life or life imitate art? And the answer is yes, both.
yes,
You
in
know,
both ways.
absolutely. So, you describe or you mention ethical hacking a lot and ethical hackers in the book quite a bit. And for those listeners, watchers who are in the audience who don't know even what hacking is, could you give us a little description about hacking and ethical hacking?
Well, hacking is basically, malicious or bad actors, people who go in and steal your social security numbers and all that. They're hacking. And it used to be kind of a fun thing that programmers would do is they try to get into these programs and it, just didn't work real well. So, but sprang up through the ranks, a group of people who started hacking to test systems, because given you want to make sure that NORAD and some of these government systems are pretty well hardened off.
Yeah.
And so there came a group of people called ethical hackers, and we used to call them white hat versus black hat, but black hat got to be pejorative, and I'm glad we've changed that. So it's ethical or unethical, and the ethical people are out there they're just having fun, and they are doing a really good an important service by making sure that systems are harder, or finding the weak spots in systems before some unethical guy goes in there. Hacking used to be more about getting into and getting your kicks. Nowadays it's more about the big score.
Mm-hmm.
So people are doing phishing emails and all sorts of things to get your personal information, and that you do have to watch out for. Don't click on a link in an email, even if it was sent from somebody
anything.
unless you know what that link is.
Right. And check the reply, or not the reply, but the actual email address, not just the display name, because it can display as Amazon and its actual email address is 1742-789 Sam, whatever.
Yeah, no, and they're out to get you. Yeah. And
exactly.
Grammatical errors and typos. Oh, there's a hint. But
Amazon spelled with an at instead of an A.
Yeah, and it's I have to say, they're kind of terrifying when you see them, because your service is about to be discontinued. Shit, what now? Oh, no. Spam.
It's not. It's fine.
It's not. It's spam.
Or we've just received your payment for $7,000. No, you haven't. Go away.
Go away. Into the spam folder.
So you do have a lot of great inside information, Tor and the dark web, and you've already said these guys are people you're hanging out with at your repair
Thank you,
cafe.
Michael Starch.
So how do you get talking about something like Tor? And again, could you explain to our listeners who aren't aware?
Tor, oh God, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a pipeline. It's a way of connect. It's a network. It's kind of like internet, but it uses the internet, but it's kind of like I don't know how to explain it. It's a way of connecting a bunch of computers together so that it's really hard to trace where you're coming from.
Yeah, so it pings that IP address to different.
It pings a whole bunch of different IP addresses, and it's kind of like Bitcoin, which is also insane, and it's pretty much on the same network, which is really insanely confusing. But basically pings a lot of different networks and picks them up. And I had to rewrite that a couple of times, and it was Starch who pointed out that, yeah, you need Tor if you're going to go on the dark web, honey. But I mean, I knew dark web exists because I'm reading How To Geek all the time and stuff like that, so it exists. I just didn't know much about it. I have never been on it, to the best of my knowledge. But
good.
That's a scary.
If you want to find a hitman, you go on the dark web. Yeah.
Well, I don't really need hitman. I can come up with my own.
You kill people for a living anyway.
Right. I already did. But no, it's just between basically we would be talking some geeky stuff, and then the story came out, and Starch, Michael Starch, Michael O'Brien, and Scoops Adamczyk, all three guys read this thing and said, okay. Scoops goes, well, you can't really hack a bank. I'm saying, yeah, you can, Scoops. There's just no point in it. He says, well, yeah. So and Starch, of course, just went through, made all these great, well, all three of them. It was really hysterical because they all came up with something different that I'd screwed up. and
which I'm gonna say like 99% of your readers won't know.
No, but
it's right
I wanted to get it right because there's that 1%, and I don't, And besides, it rings true when you get it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It does make a difference if you take the time to get things right as best you can. The story's better for it, usually.
Mm-hmm.
There are a few times when it isn't, but more often than not, the story is better for it. So I do like getting things right. It's just, it works better,
Mm-hmm.
and I've reviewed enough bad TV in my time to know when you don't care, it shows up in the storytelling.
It really does. Well, also when you find out how it really works, then it makes your main character even more clever to
Mm-hmm.
overcome it and figure it out. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
fun that way. So you have been posting a lot lately about, update your passwords, do your patches, do all your updates.
Uh-huh.
So how has this research really opened your eyes to the vulnerability that we
I've always been aware of it because I've been reading, like I said, I've been reading this stuff all along. So the idea that, yeah, in fact, I just saw somebody come through with something that Google is going to be scraping everything you post for AI to train their AI on. I suspect they already have,
right.
but Google Voice was a free service that they used so that they could train voices.
Mm-hmm.
Train the computers to listen to voices and transcribe them. So, okay. So they'll use anything and they don't care. So no, I was aware of this all along. And it's, as I point out in one of my other novels, Time Enough, people don't really care if you're monitoring your stuff to make sure you've got somebody's monitoring you to make sure you've got toilet paper in time. It's when they use it against you that they get a little pissy, and yeah, I can understand that. But the fact that they can use it against you is a little nerve-wracking, and we do need to do more about privacy controls. We do need, actually, what we really need to do is compensate the people they're training the artificial intelligence on.
Yeah,
because they're using people like me and you, and they're not paying us for it. Excuse me, my writing is worth something,
exactly. I do this for a living.
Yeah, and you're using. We'll get to that last part later.
Yeah, you got to read that fine print when you turn on like do you want to use voice to text? It's like the fine print says this is going to servers at the company and we get to keep it.
Yeah.
And you just said I agree because nobody reads those.
Nobody reads those things. Really, they don't.
Really, they're useless.
They are, and everybody knows it. And I think we can make a court case for it.
Yeah.
So
I absolutely loved the characters in this book, and I loved Janny. And when will we see her again?
Well, let me tell you that story.
Okay.
All right. Yes, we will see Janny again. I'm not sure when, but and Ray's going to be back, so that'll be good, and possibly Tanya, and I think Alphonse definitely, and Arturo. Love all those guys, but Brent, I'm not so sure about. But
I like Brent.
Right, so my friend Scoops. Okay, keep in mind, this is a guy who ran the IT department at Caltech. Not ran the department. He ran IT for the physics department at Caltech.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy who knows his stuff. So we're sitting around 3 or 4 years ago. I don't even think I'd finished the book by that point. Skip says, I've got this great idea for a way to kill a lot of people. I says, oh. And what he wanted to do is take a big Mondo magnet with a couple of helicopters and redirect a super collider at CERN in Geneva, Switzerland, to kill off a bunch of world leaders. And I'm sitting here thinking, Scoops, seriously? Because, you need a good reason why to do something that insanely difficult, but it'd be cool. Yeah, if you're writing a Marvel comic.
Actually, I have read a book where That is the plot. I'm trying to remember whose it was.
Oh, really? I'll have to keep that. I'll have to let him have it. Well, okay. Fast forward to about a month or two ago. We're having another Repair Cafe after party, and Scoops and Starch are there. And we're kicking back, and the wine regrettably was flowing. And Scoops says, yeah, but we're going to do this. When are you going to do it again? We'll call it Running Away to Geneva. So he and Starch both started writing the goddamn story. And then the ultimate coup de grace, Starch gets out Chat GPT.
Oh my gosh.
Trust me, he got knocked upside the head a couple of times. Okay, 5 times. My husband was counting for that one. And so these guys are writing my sequel for me. So
with an AI, that is awesome.
We'll see. Because it doesn't even sound like Janny. It doesn't even come close to sounding like Janny. So I suspect that may be a part of the upcoming one. But again, I got to figure out why somebody would go to, there's so many easier ways to kill a bunch of people.
Right. Well, and also, why do you want to kill off all the world leaders unless you're just an evil?
Yeah.
Unless you're a James Bond villain. Yeah.
So we're gonna have to work this out, and I fear Scoops may ultimately be disappointed, but yes, it won't be Running Away to Geneva, but it'll be something. I also have to find another good emotional issue for Janny, because let's face it, the whole, Boston is a metaphor. So, a lot of people don't, they read that, and I've had several people look at the title. Oh, I love stories about Boston. I'm like, it's not.
Well, then you're going to be disappointed. Except not, because it's an awesome book.
Thank you, dear. You're really sweet about saying so. But it's just, it's not about Boston. It's about Boston's a metaphor, and it's a metaphor for safety and finding your safe place. And that's what it was always about. And I've got to find another emotional issue for Janny to drive the story, or drive that, because, given her background, she's so messed up. I'll have plenty of them.
Yeah, there's plenty there to mine just from everything that's.
Yeah. So we'll have fun. Janny healing, we've got at least 10 books,
There you go. So
why do they focus on Ray? I don't
know. And speaking of like 10 books, what else do you have going on? Because I know you have series that are all dating at once.
Well, let's see. I just put this one out on my blog. I have got book 10 in the Operation Quickline series now blogging. And that's a fun one, because that's when Sid and Lisa get married and all hell breaks loose, of course, because they can't have a nice peaceful honeymoon. That wouldn't be fun. And so there's that. That's blogging. Whoops, it's 11 o'clock. Anyway, or no, well, whatever. I tricked my phone out with noise. So those two things are my, I'm a geek. I mean, most of my writing friends, I'm a total geek compared to the actual geeks. No, not so much. But so there's that. But I think, and then this fall, I've got, and in December, I've got book 5 in the Old Los Angeles series, Death of a Drunkard, coming out. So I've got to get that ready to go. And, just working on new projects. I've got another project that I'm going to be working on that I don't really want to talk about right now, but as soon as I get this current work in progress from hell finished, I'm right. I did a time travel trilogy. The first 2 books are out. It's time to write the third one, and it is fighting me every step. But
go back in time and fix it for yourself.
I should.
Time and
yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice if I could really do that, but no.
So basically, yeah, we've got Running Away to Boston is out. We've got Operation Quickline on the blog. In December, we'll have another Old Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And
Death of the Drunkard.
then the third in the trilogy for time travel will be out soon.
Yeah, that one's going to show up on the blog. So
Okay,
I've
excellent.
got two more
And
quick line novels to blog. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
so you speak of the blog. Tell us where our fans can find you.
You can always find me at AnneLouiseBannon.com. The catch is, remember the E at the end of Anne.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people forget that. You can see it's right there in my little corner there. But yeah, it should get there without the E, but I don't know. But you can always find me at AnneLouiseBannon.com, or you can Google me. I come up pretty high on the thing. Just don't look for Ann Bannon, because you'll get a writer of lesbian porn. I don't, you'd be disappointed. That's, I don't want people
Either way,
confusing me
whichever
with
one you're
her,
looking for,
because
you're going to be disappointed.
yeah, that would be a very, very decided and serious disappointment if you confuse me with her. But
All right. Well, thank you so much for meeting and chatting with me today. And
thank you for having me. This is a blast. I love doing stuff like this.
Oh, I always enjoy our chats. Thank you, listeners, for being here at Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews.